In late 2023, my life started slowing down just enough for me to start enjoying video games again. I took some classes and wanted to try my hand at teaching within Rec Room. I reached out to almost every teacher that sent their class signups in the signups channel who were asking for any co-teachers. I got a reply back from this player named Milksy. He sent my information into Trunks, who checked my portfolio and moderation history, and I was cleared. I was an official co-teacher of Small Details class. I helped Milksy create some sign-up forms while he found a second co-teacher, Lionheart. Lionheart had stepped away from Rec Room and just teaching in general, and was coming out of retirement to co-teach this class. The sign-ups opened and some time went by. Milksy eventually started to have some trouble IRL and told us that he might not be able to teach anymore. Around this time, I had successfully had another teacher respond. This time it was Clover from the class New Sprouts. I went through the application process and had passed the in-person interview. It was then that I found out that because I was already tied to Small Details class, I wouldn't be allowed to be a teacher for New Sprouts. Milksy realized that due to his real-life schedule, he would not be able to have time to teach in Rec Room, and I had just wasted 2 months of my time chasing all these classes. At that point, I gave up trying to teach and started thinking about working on my YouTube channel again, making tutorials and maybe some videos about Rec Room's history. But the next few months would result in just working on my in-game map, RecWiki. Research and script writing for the early contest videos was started as well, and learning even more about circuitry to eventually make tutorials on it. Rooms 2 had just released for closed alpha, and having received access, I was loving it. But I didn't pick up my streamer camera just yet. Who would want to learn from me? February 2024 began, and my favorite program was announced to be returning. I remembered the feeling that I had received when I opened my first tutorial box. Maybe I can teach, and perhaps I just needed to make some time. After submissions closed, I decided that if I saw a teaching position again, I'd apply. I contacted Collector, who taught how to circuit. I was accepted as the only co-teacher and had a blast helping our small class. I'd write out notes for the new circuiteers to take pictures of. Even back then, I was bugging Collector to consider a semester in Rooms 2 circuitry. All in all, I taught 9 hours there. Trunks showed up to the graduation. He gave an amazing speech, and at the end showed us some interesting circuitry and lighting techniques. After graduation, Collector decided to retire the class, and I prepared for some large events in my life outside of Rec Room. Towards the end of 2024, I started thinking about classes again. I created course plans for a film class and a Rooms 2 circuitry class. Returning home in bad health, I made them more formalized and submitted my film course to Trunks. I knew it would probably be rejected, but I was most confident in that course plan. 2 weeks after I had submitted my film course plan, I learned that Cookielin had revived the Film Academy sponsorship program, meaning that I would have to send the course plan to her in order to create a film class. So I contacted Cookie. I received the application form, but decided to wait. Perhaps I could find others who wanted to teach film so that we could work together. I was then contacted by Dobin Dursplay, who wanted to create a French Film Academy class. I would teach English students with another co-teacher who spoke English and French. We then learned that Cookie had a requirement of 2,000 subscribers as a minimum for head teachers. And that I thought was fair, as film teachers should know what they're doing, and a 2,000 sub count should indicate that they know a thing or two. We found Under My Cap, who had enough subscribers and showed interest. However, after realizing that he would be the one to be the head teacher, he stated that we'd first have to be under his own brand instead of French Crest Academy. And we all agreed to that, but then he decided that he didn't want to teach at all. In the meantime, I revisited my circuitry course plan. It wasn't exactly where I wanted it to be. On March 31st, 2025, I hovered my finger over my mouse deciding whether or not to click submit. March was the deadline for the next 3 months of submissions. If I didn't submit now, I'd be waiting another 3 months. I decided that I'd rather have a better course to submit than what I had at the time. I did not submit. I can wait. I'll have the best class that I can possibly create. But I had rediscovered my desire to teach. I became excited about my lessons, and to my knowledge at the time, I would be the first exclusively Rooms 2 class. I began working on my very own classroom in early April, and I even started working to become a workshop host, which I would also be doing exclusively in Rooms 2. But as I was building my classroom, an announcement on the Creator Hub Discord was made. Teachers were now incentivized to teach Rooms 2 with a shiny new gown. And that's just great. Now when I try to become a co-teacher, people are just going to think I'm only there for the gown. When I send my application to Trunks, or when my class officially starts, I'll be seen as someone only chasing a blue gown. I finished creating my classroom and revisiting my course plan and submitted it to Trunks anyways. The April through June submissions would be reviewed in July, with new teachers being contacted in August. Deciding to try for co-teacher while I awaited my own class, I was accepted into Scouse Cv2. Wakeful Promo was the new head teacher and wanted me to help convert the class into a Rooms 2 class. I provided some pointers on how to hold in-game classes with minimal lag, and he assigned all 3 of us co-teachers with specific lessons that we were to teach. But things, of course, would not be permitted to run so smoothly. Just before signups opened, Wakeful Promo got into some legal trouble and left the class in disarray. He left the Discord and messaged me before blocking me, transferring class ownership to me. This is why I have the class creator role in the Creator Hub Discord, despite not teaching as a head teacher just yet. Would I rebrand the class, dismiss its legacy, and throw out the co-teachers who were all excited to teach? No, I'm not going to do that to anyone. I talked with the previous head teachers of Scouse, and they desired that the class were to be retired, and so it was. Months later, Trunks reviewed the submissions, and my class was accepted. Behind the World was to teach the circuits that you might not notice. It'll be all those little details that run behind the world to make it more immersive. The orientation for these classes was to begin on the 26th of August, 2025. All of us new teachers waited with bated breath. And perhaps some things in life truly are too good to be true. And with my track record, I should have expected this. The day before orientation, 25 August 2025, Trunks was fired from Rec Room. Classes were paused, new semesters were canceled, and the creative community's flame was doused. Since the layoffs, the community has been trying to rekindle those flames that once burned so brightly. I am unsure about my own creative journey. Teaching hasn't been too kind for me, nor my motivation to stay with Rec Room. This is why I favor the tutorial program. The joy I receive while watching tutors grow and make tutorials is always overflowing. I love watching tutorials, even if I don't use them. When I'm bored, I'll look up Rec Room tutorials on YouTube and watch the most recent videos. You may see some of my comments here and there. Additionally, it is a self-paced program and helps you teach more people at any given time. When I don't know how to do something and can't figure it out, I turn to tutorials. With the tutorial program, you can't be screwed over by head teachers who want to replace you for their friends. If you make useful and well-created videos, you get rewarded. That's how classes should be, no? My heart goes out to everyone who has wanted the chance to teach, but just have never had the best time or ability to do so. I'll see you in the library, Rickstorians.